Hi, I'm Tara and I'm the Cave Conservation Officer for Kents Cavern. The Geopark is a site of geological significance. In particular, we're in the English Riviera UNESCO Global Geopark, which has some incredible geology. It has some raised beaches, which are millions of years old. The limestone all around us has been dated to roughly about 400 million years old. So this whole area is jam-packed full of lots of different types of geological classifications. But it's not just the geology that makes a geopark special, it's about the culture, the communities and the holistic approaches that brings the entire site together as one. The woods are a new feature at Kents Cavern. In 2014, we received some Heritage Lottery funding to launch a project called Firestone, which was aimed at the educational outreach at Kents Cavern. And that was mainly due to the Stone Age coming into the national curriculum. And on the back of that, we wanted to not only promote the cave as an incredible educational tool, but also to use the woods. So down in the woods, we use what's called the Stone Age Trail. So anyone visiting Kents Cavern can not only find out what life was like for prehistoric people using a cave as a shelter, but also what they were doing outside the cave. Were they going hunting? Were they gathering? Were they fishing? Lots of different aspects of Stone Age life that weren't just based inside the cave. The whole cave is linked to water really strongly, so stalagmites and stalactites are created when you get rainwater just coming through the layers of the rock, and it reacts with the atmosphere. A chemical process happens and then the mineral calcite is deposited, and that might be a deposit down the cave's wall to create this really smooth, lovely surface called flowstone. It might be a drip on the floor which eventually builds into a stalagmite, or a slow drip on the ceiling that makes really beautiful stalactites or even little baby cave straws as well. Kents Cavern has kind of 3 different phases of formation. We start off with the formation of the limestone, the rocks, and obviously the rocks make up our geopark. So these rocks started to be formed about 385 million years ago, all kind of created at the bottom of the ocean when you have shellfish, corals, all kind of joining and compressing together over millions of years. And the whole geopark this whole landmass underwent a huge journey. It went through massive continental shifts, which meant it was pushed upwards. It then went through a mountain building process. We then went into the Permian period where the rocks were scorched by the sun, and that's why down in, for example, Paynton, you see these beautiful red rocks, and then they kind of settled to where they are now. Kents Cavern started to be formed about 2 million years ago, and it's created when you get water going through the cracks in the rock, and it's a very, very slow process of the dissolution of the limestone, which creates large open chambers. During this time, the cave was absolutely full of water. It's called a phreatic phase. And in this phase, water flows through the cavern. The entire place is absolutely flooded in this period, and that's what creates these incredible passageways which link all the chambers together. So we have 2 really famous formations. One is the face. Its technical name as a formation is flowstone, and that's just that calcite going down the wall of the cave, or like it looks like almost a frozen waterfall. It looks like a face, and it's famous because when the Victorian excavators came in, they found below the face some silver Roman coins. So we believe that perhaps Romans were coming into Kents Cavern exploring, saw the face, and maybe were superstitious and left some coins as an offering to the cave god. The second famous formation at Kents Cavern is our wedding cake. So it's a lovely stalagmite. It lives in the Rockies chamber, and that's also a place where we like to hold weddings at Kents Cavern, and it can be a really small, intimate wedding, and they can have it just next to the wedding cake. Britain's oldest home is probably what makes Kents Cavern unique. So Kents Cavern has had 3 different types of humans occupying it. We've had continuous occupation from human species from about 500,000 years ago. So because there has been 3 different types of humans living here, no other site that we know of in the entire world has had 3 different human species. That's why we call it Britain's oldest home. Well, the most important find to be found in Kents Cavern was a human jawbone, which is called the KC4 maxilla. And that bone is of a Homo sapien, and it's been dated to be about 41,000 years old, which makes that the oldest piece of human bone found in Britain and in northwest Europe. Not so much discoveries, but we do have more research going on. We recently had in 2015 and 2016 excavations by the University of Oxford, and they came down actually to this area behind me. They were looking at trying to find a different entrance to the cave. So they were looking at previously unexcavated sediments, which is really rare, as you know, due to so many excavations happening at Kents Cavern. And they dug out what we now know as a rediscovered entrance of the cave, which might provide more insight to how prehistoric people were getting into the cave and what entrances they were using and what would have been the perfect one for them to live in. For Kents Cavern, I think we might be slightly running out of limestone, but there's always possibilities of finding new discoveries. So we'll keep trying and hoping that we find something else.